y'all. This is Market Explainer, America's #1 business news podcast. This next story, before we jump into it, I want to tell you about my website, workathomstuff.com. As we all know, working at home ain't going away.
It is not.
So you're going to need stuff to make that home office an office. You can go to workathomstuff.com. We have reviews on chairs and desks, and I want you to check out this product, and you'll get linked off to Amazon, of which this is a Amazon affiliate website. So that's workathomstuff.com.
Yep.
Now, this is a fun story, super awesome, very exciting, not remotely political. Walgreens is closing 5 stores in San Francisco, citing organized shoplifting. And also along these lines, Target's closed at 6 p.m. in the Bay Area. And Target has closed, I believe, 2 stores because of the exact same issue. Totally cool, right? Awesome.
Well, by the way, adding these 5 will mark 22 total Walgreens that have shut in the Bay Area in the last 14 months.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's only almost half of their stores. Now, when we say citing, look, there's a lot of people that are saying different things. What Walgreens is saying is they're citing, and so is Target, by the way, by closing at 6 or whatever. They're citing organized shoplifting. Now, I'll go back. I was, and still to my knowledge, I am the youngest Walgreens store manager that have ever been. I was given a store when I was 18 years old by Walgreens, right? So, to run. And the point, though, is we had a policy back then that I actually almost got fired for. I was coming into work one day, literally coming from my car, walking into the Walgreens. Person comes running out the door. Obviously, well, I say obviously, after the fact, learned that he had stolen something and was running out the door. And look, I played football, right, in school and stuff like that. Someone runs to you instead of taking it and smashing it, you shuck them. It's called shucking in football, right? You absorb and push off that gravity. Well, when I did that, the guy went basically face first into one of those concrete pylons.
Which if he wasn't running after he had stolen something.
In Walgreens, right? And basically said, basically the way the story was spun was I was trying to stop him from stealing. Now, at that time, and I'm pretty sure Walgreens still has this policy, you are not allowed as the store employee to do anything about people shoplifting. You are not, it is against their policy. If you do anything to stop them, you are fired.
Really?
That is their policy. That's why I say I almost got fired.
Right.
And the logic is safety, right? It's responsibility. That if you get hurt as an employee of Walgreens because you're trying to stop someone from stealing $20 worth of crap, is it worth it? Right. Because actually, and this being a store manager, 90% of all retail theft actually comes from employees.
Oh, that's good. Good to know.
So their theory, when you talk about loss prevention at retail stores, is if they could stop employee theft, it wouldn't matter how much actually walked out the front door by others, because you'd be stopping 90% of it, right?
Yeah, which is the most you can hope for.
Right, exactly. So they wouldn't care. So so a liability is the reason. So when you talk about these kind of stories, you're talking about organized people that have now figured this out. And figured out that, well, if I'm not going to be stopped, there was a viral video in June and I say viral, I mean, it went everywhere because it brought up this question. It highlighted this problem that they're talking about, where it was a employee of a Walgreens with their camera out, watching someone on a bike inside the store, loading things into a black garbage bag, and then just riding out the store with it.
What's wrong with that? God bless America.
Now, eventually this guy was caught because he was an idiot, because he did it, I think, a half a dozen times at the exact same location.
Switch it up, pal.
So, but here's what's happening. I kind of combined this with two different stories. There's a story that just came out because they were just sentenced, a father and daughter, that over a period of the last 8-9 years, have stolen an estimated of, or have made an estimated $6 million off of organized retail theft.
Yeah. And there's an article in Wall Street Journal. I didn't read it. I just saw the headline. It was something in the excess of $30 million that CVS was combating, $30 million of theft. I watched a TikTok video of, it was somebody who's waiting for their prescription, and they just watch a guy, burly, big guy, walk behind, this is it's just a little swinging door.
Right.
Plows through the door, and we're just, let's deal in reality. More diminutively sized, smaller women working there. Big burly guy just comes in, loads up a bunch of stuff off the prescription shelf.
Sure.
And he's not even running. He's just he's moseying out the front door.
Well, because and so you had this organized retail theft, right? In this case, the one I was saying that just got cited, they each got 5 years in jail, which is, again,
They got to keep the money?
Yes, because they spent it. Like, there's restitution that they added onto it. I think they were told to pay back $4.3 million. Well, if they took $6 and spent it, if they're in jail now, where are they getting the $4.35 million? Because I guarantee it's not sitting in their bank accounts.
If you had stole $6.1 million, invested that too correctly, you could cover your restitution.
Well, that's the Wolf of Wall Street thing, right? The guy went to jail, but he was still rich. He didn't have to pay back all the money that he stole from people over the Wolf of Wall Street. Danny would argue that he didn't steal anything, but
that's not true.
The point here is you have people, and this is where, again, Danny's not going to care about this, but really what this is about people taking advantage of people, meaning the people that are actually stealing these, that they're using to steal from Target and Walgreens or whatever. These are typically people in low income areas. They're homeless, they're whatever. They steal these objects and take it to, like in that case with the father-daughter combo there, they were taking it to a warehouse. And then they were giving them pennies on the dollar for these products, and then turn around and selling them for almost full price on, guess what? Amazon.com, Walmart.com, all of these open platforms where, hey, if you have a product, you can sell it.
So what's interesting is in San Francisco, and now this isn't related to the case of the father and daughter because they're in Atlanta, but the case of San Francisco, they don't prosecute over under a certain dollar amount. I think that's around $1,000 or $900 some dollars. They don't prosecute petty theft, and so it isn't simply Walgreens' bad policy. Or I understand the policy, but it's combined with the fact that the city is not going to do anything about people stealing from you. And there is a concern in lower income communities of something called a food desert, where you can't get fresh produce because there are no grocery stores.
Right.
And there's all these wild conspiracies as to why that's the case. When a situation like this, you look at a Walgreens, there's a large corporation saying, we can't operate profitably in the Bay Area. Same thing with Target, with the close by 6 o'clock. Now, if you take that data from the large corporation and go, hey, wait, if a $1 billion corporation like Walgreens or Target can't properly function in your location,
right?
How do you expect a mom and pop to stand up a grocery store? Because most grocery stores are regional chains. If a regional chain that, they do $100 million in annual sales, the profit on groceries hovers around 1 or 2%. Right?
Exactly.
Net numbers after taxes, paying everybody, disposing of bad goods, all that other stuff, food waste, all this other jazz, talking about 1 or 2%. Why is it? And then if you just add the shrinkage factor of 0.5%, you're eating up a quarter of the profits just in theft. You're going to close.
Well, but this is also the reason, and people don't get this, theft, corporations don't take losses for anything, right?
Right.
So what they do, and this is why, even here in Austin, I can walk into a Walgreens in Cedar Park, where I live, and buy a product. If I go to East Austin, that product may be 20% more. Right? Because what they do on any given store, it's built into their pricing. If I have a high theft store, they just take that and build it into the pricing. So the people that are buying products in that area, again, lower income, impoverished areas, are paying more for products than people in higher class areas because of the theft. They just incorporate it into their business model for that area, right? So San Francisco has come out as a city and said Walgreens shouldn't do this. So trying to paint Walgreens as the bad guy here, because guess what? Walgreens, old folks go to Walgreens, right? People go to Walgreens after work on their way home because they're treated like a convenience store, right?
Right. I don't understand how Walgreens ends up being the bad guy for saying, hey, we don't want to put our employees at risk because of the rampant theft. Mm-hmm. And listen, I'm no cop fan here, but let's just be honest. If you don't let the police do the job of hey, you can't steal things. That's a basic premise of a society, of a functioning society, is you don't get to steal stuff. Now, I've heard stories, don't know if they're true, on various podcasts about how you can go outside of a Walgreens in places like San Francisco and New York City, and down the street, a block or two, a guy will set up a card table and he's selling everything he just stole at a Walgreens.
Right. Well, in today's world, they do it online because, again, nobody cares. Walmart, Amazon, all these different places, especially if you have bulk product. Hell, Amazon, if I have a bulk product, I can send it into Amazon. Amazon will take care of shipping it out within that 2 days. They don't ask me where I got it from. They don't care where it comes from. They just that they get their cut and that they get to go.
There's an entire business model where people buy stuff that's returned to Amazon, and if they do the quality, the QC, the quality control on it, and they say, hey, 15% of this stuff is garbage, but the rest of it's good. They return it to Amazon, and it goes back into Amazon FBA, and they're making margin, and that's good for them. I got no beef with people making money.
But if you stole this product, or you had someone steal this, there's no such thing as a margin, because it didn't cost you. It cost you next to nothing, and that's the whole that part has been figured out so consistently that people have. Again, you're always going to have people that abuse the system, and San Francisco is reeling. Right, like everybody's read about San Francisco's homeless population has grown so much. I actually went to San Francisco not too long ago. And we spent almost zero time in downtown San Francisco because, quite frankly, it's disgusting. There are people everywhere. The city is disgustingly dirty and that kind of stuff. So it's not surprising when you look at it from that standpoint. And the city is doing nothing to protect the businesses.
And let me just say something to the people of San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York. Texas is full. Don't come. Oklahoma, on the other hand, plenty of room.
Plenty of land.
They got the vacancy sign on. Head right on down to Oklahoma. And let me tell you something. If we just tell you it's Texas, you ain't gonna know the difference anyway.
That's partially true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But they've got plenty of land, plenty of space. You can spread out.
And they got casinos. Texas won't let you have casinos yet. Don't come here. It's full. There's no space. Elon Musk isn't actually opening a factory here. Don't worry about it. He's not coming here.
Completely dismiss everything we've said.
It's not worth living here. Texas is all hype. There's no space. Don't come here.
No space.
New Mexico, plenty of space. Oklahoma,
I'm sure. New Mexico, Oklahoma, right? Colorado. Go to Colorado. Weed's legal there, so go to Colorado.
Exactly. Before we close out our show today, I want to tell you about our Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/marketexplainer. we're going to be adding some shows there, different types of content, same nexus point of business, because that's what we love talking about. So you can go to patreon.com/market explainer. You can go to our website. Our website will show you everything we got going on.
Marketexplainer.com. Yep. And I think we're gonna put all our follow-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And how often that Danny's wrong and I'm right, or how often we're right or we call a trend. Danny loves to point out the fact when he finds a story before it was a story, kind of thing. So I think
those kinds of things. If you want to hear me talk about something political, I did do a radio show over the weekend back in my hometown. That link will be somewhere, probably in the description of the show. So, but before we leave, I just want everyone to know that if you get a hold of me personally, I offer absolution for white guilt for a nominal, reoccurring monthly fee. In addition, I sell passes to make racial jokes. It's a revenue stream that I'm developing. So if you're looking for that, I'm also, this is Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Month. I am a Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity coordinator and consultant.
So reoccurring monthly fee for the white privilege, huh? Reoccurring?
White guilt. I absolve the white guilt to that. Yes.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Wow. That is somehow not surprising in the least.
Right.
We'll see you next time, folks.